Hey there, my name is Jake Gosselin. I am pumped to be here at Worship Summit Live. And in this training workshop, I want to show you what is possible when you start running your entire audio, video, and lighting system over a network. Here at Rock Harbor Church, we were able to make a pretty significant upgrade by transitioning everything to be IP-based, and you're going to see how this cleans up your system. It also makes it even more powerful and capable. So I'm really excited to dive into the training today and to show you all the ins and outs. So as you look around this space here, this building was built 40 years ago, and like many churches that we work in these days, they just weren't designed for modern AV. And not only from an acoustical perspective or a lighting perspective, but also just when it comes to the infrastructure of the building, when it comes to having cable runs from one place to another, this space was not designed to have the conduit that one would need to run low voltage cabling for audio lines, video lines, DMX lines from the rack room behind stage or the storage room behind stage to our front of house. Also, you'll notice at this portion in the back of the room here, there really is no tech booth. Of course, we could always go down the route of having a construction process to build one, but we're also kind of tight on space in this room here at Rock Harbor Church. We don't want to give up the precious seating space because we are a growing church. We're at capacity. We want to make sure we have room for as many people as possible. And we're actually going to even be switching out these pews here for normal seats that it's going to maximize the amount of people who can sit in here. So when you walk around the back of the room, you'll notice, okay, here's what I would call our tech booth over here. And it's really not much of a booth. We don't have a separate platform. This is really just a simple table that we made off of Amazon. We got a tabletop, and then we got some legs attached to the bottom here. And there's really not much going on. And we got 1, 2, 3 workstations. We've got an audio workstation here. We've got our computer graphics Pro Presenter workstation. And then we have our video workstation. I'm going to dive into all 3 of these to help you understand what we've got going on, what's set up. But look at the table itself. If you come around here and look underneath the table, there's really not a whole lot going on down here, right? So there's no computers under here. The cabling is pretty limited. It's a really clean setup. We don't even have a table skirt. Everything's just kind of buttoned up nicely underneath these tables here. So what's cool is we had to navigate our unique challenges here at Rock Harbor with limited space. We have no infrastructure for cabling and conduit to run all of our lines from our control workstations here to all the equipment that's on stage or the racks that we have behind the rack room. But I think what we were able to do here in the solutions that we built could be applicable to any church situation to a certain degree, depending on how far down this road you want to go, what type of budget you have to work with. We've been using this setup, this iteration of the setup for over a month now, and it has been a game changer. Really pleased with the results so far. So I'm excited to kind of dive into the weeds of this with you to kind of show you what's happening. So this is the tech booth area, and I want to show you one more area just so you have a kind of a full picture of the space. Over here, we have our little closet behind the stage, altar, whichever word you want to use there. It's actually kind of like a little office space here for our pastor. Here are the equipment racks. So this is like the bulk of the infrastructure of our system. We have an equipment rack here for we have computers in here, we have video infrastructure in here, lighting infrastructure, and then this one is all audio. So the key to making all this possible with what you see, with having such a lean tech booth out there and very little cabling, it all has to do with the network backbone that's happening and being able to pass all of our audio, video, lighting data over network instead of having to have point-to-point connections everywhere, which can get really messy. I'll show you another aspect of our infrastructure here to kind of help you grasp what all's happening. So come back to the tech booth. you'll see this little like cable raceway right here along the floor. Since we don't have conduit or proper cable pathways to get from our tech booth to the rack room, we actually have 3 data lines that run from the tech booth along this back wall to the rack room. And you can see the 3 of them, they're coming out of here. So they go under this little cable keeper that we've got on the floor. And then they're coming out here. This is the loom of cabling. You're actually gonna see 3 of them are making the run all the way from the tech booth to the rack room back there. One of these cables just goes to a camera that's actually up on the wall behind me. And then another one is another trunk line on the network, this single one here that goes to another network switch over there. Prior to this setup, I counted it, we had like 24 cables going from this tech booth to the back rack room. And that was before we had this entire infrastructure built on a really strong network backbone. So we reduced our cable clutter massively. We made our cable raceways nice and clean, and we only have, like I said, 3 cables on our main trunk line. Those 3 cables being 2 of them dedicated for our main trunk between the network switch here at the tech booth table and the main network switch we have back in the rack room. So that's what 2 of these are for. And then one of them is a dedicated line for our audio S-Link connection. So that's audio over a CAT cable that goes from our mixing console here back to the stage box that's on stage. And those are the 3 data connections that run everything for audio, video, and lighting control. So how are we able to do this? Well, it all starts with having the right network infrastructure. Let me show you what this all looks like here. I can show you on our UniFi site manager software, the topology of what all's happening. So I've got my laptop here. So right now we're looking at Site Manager, which is a web-based software where I'm able to view our network setup, and this is where I can control everything and how we set up and configure our networks, our router, our network switches, because everything, all the data goes through this network, and this is the important foundation of everything that we've got going here. So when you look at this topology here, it's a little bit overwhelming. You're seeing a combination of all of our UniFi switches, as well as all the devices, the client devices plugged into them. Client devices being computers, cameras, Dante, audio devices, anything else that needs a network connection. All of our NDI decoders, I'll get into that as well. So looking at this topology here, at the top of it, you have Spectrum Business. That's our internet service provider. So that's the beginning of that's our internet connection. Then the first device under that is going to be our router. This is the UDM, or the UniFi Dream Machine. This is a router, and all it is in charge of doing is managing our networks and handing out IP addresses to all of the various devices. In the UniFi world, you can have a separate access point then from your router. An access point, or wireless access point, is a little antenna that goes on the wall to broadcast Wi-Fi for all the networks. Underneath this Dream Machine, we then have our first UniFi switch, the USW, in ER01, Equipment Rack 1. So this switch is like the first layer of switching that we have within this topology here. And from this switch, we are trunking to some other switches. So you actually have our switch in the rack here, then we have our switch that's at front of house. That's what FOH stands for. So that's a 48-port switch that's under the workstations at front of house that I showed you there. And then we also have another switch here. This one is on the stage here behind me. So we have a switch there. That one's a 24-port. Then we have another switch that is in production equipment rack 2, which is the second rack backstage. And those are the main trunk lines coming off of that first switch. Then off of the front of house switch in the tech booth, we have a trunk line that goes to our entry door. So if you look over here at this entry door, and you look up on the wall, we have devices like TVs and cameras. We have a network switch right under the clock up there, and that gets all the connections to those devices there. So that's how we have one network cable that goes from front of house on the bottom of the floor, up a raceway, and up to that switch up there. And then from that switch there, we have another trunk line that goes along the back wall, through the wall, into the lobby, where it goes into another smaller UniFi switch out there. So being able to trunk these switches together really keeps our cable runs clean and simple, the way we have them surface mounted throughout the building here. And again, this is a way to be able to do surface mount cable runs in a space that we don't have the actual infrastructure for conduit and such to run cable from one place to another, which is very common in a lot of churches. So then underneath each of these switch devices here, you can see all of the different client devices that are plugged into them. Like you've got at our front of house switch, you have our Avantis sound console, the control connection there for controlling the console. We've got the Avantis Dante card connection there. We've got our KVM receivers. We've got stream decks. We've got PTZ controllers. We've got another KVM receiver. And this is important. Whenever our team is setting up our network infrastructure in UniFi, we go through and actually label everything so we know exactly what we're looking at when we're going into Site Manager here. So that's step one of what I'm going to walk you through with our system, is really making sure you have the right network infrastructure in place. Because in modern AV, pretty much all devices now are going to talk to each other over a network. So with UniFi, we recommend starting with the UDM Pro. That's the Dream Machine Pro for your router. That's going to control all of the networks on your local area network, or your VLANs, because you can set those up. And then you're going to have the switches. We like using the USW Pro switches. That gives us the most flexibility for setting up those virtual local area networks for control, Dante, NDI. We like to isolate all those things, our KVM network. And it really helps, again, make sure you're not having different devices interfere with one another. And you can dedicate the connections to different computers and different ports on computers to specific networks with those network interface cards. I know it all sounds a little bit overwhelming. We do have a whole training on Networking 101 at churchfront.com. You can check out if you want to go down this path some more. But I just want to help you understand that networking is so crucial to modern AV systems, and especially if you're setting one up for your church. The more you can leverage it, the more powerful your system's going to be, and you're going to be able to operate and troubleshoot things quickly. So in addition to the UDM router and then the switches, you'll want to have some access points. So then you can have the actual Wi-Fi being broadcast in your space. So I can pull up my phone app or my computer, and I can just wirelessly log into the system like you are seeing me do right now. So once the network infrastructure is set up and you've plugged everything in, you've made all your cable runs, this is where in the UniFi software you can actually go in and you can set up your VLANs. VLANs are a way to create, think of them as kind of sub-networks within your one main network here. So in our system here, we have quite a few VLANs going on. We have the default network. So this is the one where you have the IP subnet 192.168.0. That's the common default networking IP scheme you'll get with a lot of any networking gear that you buy. Sometimes it's 192, or in a business environment, you might have a 10.1.0, whatever that IP scheme is as well. Underneath that, we have the KVM network on 192.168.10. We have our control network on VLAN ID 20, so 192.168.20. Streaming ACN on .30, 192.168.30. We have Dante on 40, SoundGrid on 50, NDI on 60, and so on. We got a lot going on for these VLANs here. So our programmer here at Churchfront was able to go through and configure these all properly, so then all the devices are going to play well together on the network. So that's enough nerding out over the network itself. Now I just want to show you practically what's possible and the benefits we're getting here. Let's first start with audio world, and let's head on back to the tech booth here. I'll kind of show you some of the benefits that we've got going on. So the first primary benefit with running everything over the network is we've got Dante audio capability. Dante is a protocol that allows you to send multi-channel audio over a network from your various devices that have a Dante card installed in them. So it's very much an industry standard device. You can get them for a lot of different mixing consoles. You can run a Dante app on your computer. So now I can send up to, and this one is 64 by 64 channels of audio in and out of this console over Dante. So what we're doing in this space is once the audio gets into the console from the stage box over S-Link, I told you about that connection earlier, we can process audio and then it's going to be sent to our PA system over Dante. So we don't have any analog cables coming out of this console. It actually just goes over the network and it goes into our audio processing device, or our digital sound processing device, the DSP, which is the AHM by Allen and Heath. And then from there, the AHM takes in the Dante audio, it processes it. That's how we tuned our PA system. And then over some analog audio lines, that's from the processor backstage to the speakers. That's how we get audio to the speakers. Another practical use case for Dante audio is we have a speaker in the lobby for people to hear what's going on in the lobby. In here, we can send a dedicated mix for that speaker. That speaker is powered by the Ethernet port on the switch it's plugged into with PoE, power over Ethernet, and then it's getting data for audio over the Dante connection. So it's just a super clean setup. We can send audio wherever we need it if there's a network connection. So that's the primary benefit of using Dante in a system. And one other big benefit is all of our computers have Dante plugged into them. So on like this computer, I can pull up an application called Dante Controller. So Dante Controller is a way where we can actually patch all of our audio from our various devices to other devices. So if I went here from my Avantis and I wanted to patch it to a computer, I could do that here. Or here, I would actually go from my transmitter. If it was my production Mac Mini and I want to patch it into my Avantis, I can do that as well. See what channels this one's patched on. So here I have my ROX Mac Mini computer. I can patch audio out of the application on the computer, the Dante Virtual Sound Card app, over the network into my Avantis. So I'm hearing audio from the Avantis from the computer without having to plug in like an auxiliary jack or anything like that. So audio over the network is just a huge, huge benefit in a church production setting. But then, we're here at Worship Summit Live, and a lot of it's about video, especially PTZOptics cameras. We're using 3 PTZOptics cameras in this space. You can actually see them here on the Multiview if you want, but we've got camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. They give us some great perspectives of the room, the image quality, the color, all of it looks great, looks super sharp. We're using the PTZOptics Move SE and then the PTZOptics 4Ks as well. And then we got the joystick controller here. Everything, the cameras and the joystick controller, they're all on the network. And then we're using the NDI feature on those cameras to get the video signal from the cameras to our equipment racks into our Atem switcher. The Atem doesn't have NDI built in, but we have NDI decoders that take an NDI signal on the network and they convert them to SDI to get into our video switcher. And this I've actually been really pleased with the results. It gives us a ton of flexibility in the system. We did make a decent investment into the amount of NDI decoders and encoders that we have in the setup. But again, the goal is to keep it all very clean and make it very flexible for how we want to get video from any video source to any video destination. So that's another massive benefit of having a strong network that can handle all of the video signals. And this is where it's important too to have a high bandwidth network. Our trunk lines between switches have at least a 10 gigabit connection. And what's nice with NDI-HX coming from these cameras and the NDI encoders that we use is that you can select between some more efficient ways of processing NDI to make sure you're not choking out the available bandwidth on your network and experiencing issues where the NDI connection is lagging or breaking up or just not being able to make it through. So we're using NDI on the cameras as input sources for video, but then when you look around our room, we have these, actually, I don't have to go very far. Even this monitor right here, this Multiview, is pulling an NDI feed from the network, and this NDI feed is coming from a encoder we have in the rack that is taking a Multiview output from the Atem, puts it on the network, and then it sends it to this monitor here. So we don't have to have a dedicated SDI run from our Atem to the tech booth here. It can happen over the network. It gets decoded here, and now we can see whatever we want to see here on the Multiview. We also have other TVs and displays in the room getting signal from the NDI network. So up here we have a confidence monitor TV, and then we have a preview of our computer graphics. The bottom one shows the same content on our side screens up on stage. And once again, we're taking a video signal. Let's talk about the stage display. Well, actually for both of them, they go out of ProPresenter, out of a DeckLink card. ProPresenter does have NDI out built into it. I don't trust it that much. I don't have a lot of great experience with that. I'd rather send the signal out of ProPresenter with a DeckLink video card. From there it goes into our Atem switcher, and then from the switcher I have the flexibility to take that signal, send it to an NDI encoder, and then there I can send it anywhere on the network. So that's what we're doing here. That's how we get content to those screens. Also, the screens on stage here, these LED screens, those are also using NDI decoders. So I actually have 2 decoders, 2 video signals going to each side. One video signal goes to each side, so 2 of them total. And this is getting, these are actually getting a signal directly from NDI out of ProPresenter, another machine running ProPresenter. And again, gives us a ton of flexibility. So basically, I have one NDI decoder back here. It pulls power and data off the network switch we have on stage, and then from there these 3 screens are daisy chained together, and everything's mapped properly for the LED screens to get that image on it the way you see it there. The other screens we have up here for the projectors, those are just getting an SDI connection out of the video switcher, because we did the downside about NDI decoders and using NDI, you do have a little bit more latency, and I wanted to eliminate as much latency as possible for these screens that the congregation is seeing. Again, a lot of latency we're seeing is very, very minimal, especially when you get the encoders all configured properly. But for this one, we didn't really need to do the NDI runs. But if we wanted to have more flexibility to route whatever video signal to these screens, I could pop some encoders up there, connect them to the network. It would give us even more flexibility. So come on back here into the rack room again, and you'll see a lot of these encoders and decoders that we've got set up here in the equipment rack. So if you look down here, we've got our Atem video switcher. This is what does all of our video switching. And then here we have all of these KiloView encoders and decoders. So some of these KiloViews, we have 4, 8, 12 of them total. 3 of them are taking a video signal from our NDI PTZOptics cameras, encodes them or decodes them into SDI to get to the switcher. And then a lot of these other ones will take an output from the switcher, encode it to the NDI network, so then we can then send that content to our nursery TV, our lobby TV, the confidence monitor TVs that I showed you. Very, very powerful. So that's the power and capability you have when you have a robust network infrastructure for your video setup, is specifically using NDI. The other major benefit of the network setup we have here is the KVMs, and this is another reason why our workstations are so clean. So if you look underneath, these are some audio computers that I've got going here. This is our computer graphics computer. This is a computer that runs waves for audio processing. And I actually didn't even mention that earlier when we were doing the audio over networking. Not only do we have Dante over networking, but we also have waves over the network too. And that's just, I don't want to get in the weeds of waves right now, but it's a whole other similar type of protocol to Dante to send audio from one place to another, have it be processed, and then send it back to your console to have like really good sounding audio. So that's on the network. Under that, we have the Adderlink XDIP KVM nodes. These are really cool. These nodes allow us to connect USB and video to a computer, like these two computers I have here. So now I can put another node anywhere in the building on the network, and then I can control that computer. If I have a keyboard, monitor, and a mouse, I can plug them into the other node, and I don't have to have the computer at that location. The computer stays here. It gets the USB and the video data over the network, and with zero latency, I can control that computer remotely from the building. But then let's go back to the tech booth, and I'll show you the power of this specific type of KVM, because some KVMs, you can run them to be just like KVM extenders, like point-to-point extenders. That's a good budget way to do it. Those run about $200 a piece. But the setup we have with Adderlink, each one of these nodes, it can either be a transmitter or a receiver, and they're $600. So we have 3 computers back there. So we have $1,800 of Adderlinks back there. Might be closer to $700. And then we have 3 receiving nodes on this end of the tech booth here, mounted underneath the table. So now when I'm working at these computer workstations, I can actually bring up any one of those 3 computers because it's all on the network. So here I got some key commands where if I do control option 1, it's going to bring up our audio computer that runs our Waves sound grid for processing audio. If I do control option 2, it's going to bring up our ProPresenter computer, and then control option 3, it's going to bring up our other computer that runs Atem control software. Usually we have them set up so this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. But as I'm working, or if I'm troubleshooting something on a Sunday, it just makes it super flexible for me to get to any workstation. I can be like, oh, I need to fix something on ProPresenter real quick. I can just pull that up. If I go Command Option C, I can actually get into the settings of the Adderlink, and I can program this however I want. I can rename my channels and my computers. I can add more. So this ecosystem of KVMs, I think, does up to 16 different nodes. So it really gives you the ability. I don't think there's any church situation where I can think of where you need more than that. I also like to have one of these set up in my rack room, so then I can be troubleshooting computers back there and not having to walk back and forth between the tech booth and the rack room so much. So that's just another one of my favorite benefits of using KVMs with a very robust network. I'll also speak to the benefits of using these stream decks here, kind of similar for controlling things. These stream decks, you can do all sorts of things with stream decks to control cameras, to control video switchers, to control really any device out there on a network. And these stream decks are actually using the Stream Deck network dock to then connect to everything that we want to control with them on the network. Super clean setup. That's a newer device that Elgato came out with, so you don't have to have the Stream Deck plugged into USB to a computer. It can just do it over the network. So I know I covered a lot. It can be really overwhelming because I'm even overwhelmed, even though I set this all up. We just talked through a ton of different systems going on here. The foundation is always going to be the network infrastructure. Like I said before, we recommend UniFi because it's a proven, really robust system. It's also really easy to use. You don't have to have a huge history of being an IT manager to understand and navigate it. You can definitely check out the trainings we have at churchfront.com to learn more about getting started with the foundational principles of networking. But then setting it up is simple because you're just running a few data cables, terminating them, programming the UniFi infrastructure, and then from there you can just have a really robust foundation for audio, video, lighting, KVMs, NDI, anything else you want to run over that network infrastructure. I hope you guys found this workshop helpful today. Thanks so much for tuning in to Worship Summit Live. Thanks to the team at PTZOptics for inviting me to be a part of this. If you'd like to learn more about these systems and solutions, just go to churchfront.com. You can easily reach out to my team. We have training videos there. We have in-depth online courses. We've got lots of free content on the website. And then we also do full turnkey AVL design and integration specifically for churches. We are working at churches all around the country and helping, number one, design the right solutions for the various types of churches we work at, and then fulfilling everything that needs to happen in terms of the procurement, the assembly, the project management. It's a full-on construction project when you start doing projects like this and making these things happen. So we'd love to hear more about your upcoming project or upgrade. The sooner you reach out to us, the better, because these things take time when you're professionally designing and building an AV system for your church. That's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.